Thank you very much for staying up to the end and waiting for this presentation. Although, yeah, many of you have actually attended the workshop yesterday, so I'm sorry you are actually going to hear it once again, but I'm going to speak much more in detail about one of the projects that we did, so I think it would be interesting for you as well. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about street sauce, which is a project that we did with my art group called FoodCHI. So I think at first I need to introduce the group and like the gist of the activities that we do in order to let you like understand what is street sauce about. But at first, yeah. So Marcus has already introduced me. This is my way of introduction. I'm actually this. So I have pumpkin seeds, carrot, radish, white pepper, raisins, tahini, and butter. This is, you know, the way I think about myself, and the digital algorithm actually think about myself. This is actually sauce generated out of my life. You will see later how is this possible and how does it work. So yeah, this is a hot carrot group. It's a group of 5 people. We are all students, or I'm a former student of new media in Faculty of Arts, Charles University Prague, and we established this project like 3 years ago. And basically, why we decided, or the reason why we started this project, was to kind of disrupt local Czech food stereotypes. But since that, we have actually got a lot of labels, so people started to, you know, call the project with so many buzzwords, like we are now food hacking, we are critical design, we are data quizzing, we are hacktivists, we are food networkers, food designers. Yeah, we do techno-emotional cooking and stuff like that. But to be honest, well, basically this is this is all what is it about. So yeah, this is how it started. The critical design. Where is the criticality? So yeah, the third picture is Czech hot dog. It's really not good food, believe me, it's really bad food. But everyone is eating it in Czech Republic or in Prague because it's very cheap and you see it everywhere. So it's like the most typical street food. And we are thinking that, yeah, it's bad, you know, to have this kind of food as a representation of our country. So let's hack it somehow. So we just, you know, took away the sausage and stick the carrot inside the bread roll instead, and yeah, it worked actually. So this was our like veggie disruption of the carnivore Czech society, because we really eat way too much meat in Czech Republic. It's kind of our stereotype. So that's how we started. We started with our design prototype, which is this 4th picture, hot carrot. Yeah, and we started with our nomadic kitchen. We started to travel all around the country and also abroad and promoting this veggie idea. But yeah, you have seen the 4th picture, right? It doesn't look very edible, that's right. It wasn't. So yeah, we decided that we need to make it more edible and to use something which would like make the whole snack taste better. And yeah, we did it with open source. Open source is, yeah, it's a sauce, obviously, of course. But it's not just the sauce. It's basically sauce that is created digitally. We call it open source because it's open source cookbook of sauce recipes, which is open to all contributions, like from outside. So everyone who is interested can contribute with his or her sauce, edit the already existing ones, and things like that. So yeah, it's a very nice idea, right? But this is how it actually looked like at the beginning. So we had this great, brilliant idea that we want to, you know, make the world better with our vegetarian revolution, and then we found ourselves like sticked in the basement and, you know, experimenting with sauces, with stained t-shirt. It was just, you know, our life at that time. We were just, you know, cooking sauces. And we were doing some really strange, you know, combinations. But we found out that it actually worked, and we found out that if you mix like very, very strange ingredients together, you can get actually very good taste. So then we were thinking, okay, right, so we can mix, for example, bean and banana and coconut and radish, and it works. So what if we like go beyond and try to, you know, overcome the food or eating stereotypes and start to cook with something that is usually not conceived as edible. So this is actually, it happened by chance. This is a sauce created out of daisies, because we were cooking, you know, in the countryside, and the shopping options were very limited. We just needed some vegetable to include in the sauce. And there was no other way than to, you know, pick the daisies and stick it into the sauce. And it actually worked. So, yeah, I was thinking, okay, we have maybe found something. We can actually think beyond the, you know, typical ways how to cook, like beyond the typical cooking stereotypes. And, yeah, okay, this is how it looked like, good. And we are thinking, yeah, food is actually becoming more and more information in today's society. Well, like Roland Barthes once said that food is not substance, it's circumstance, which means that we are not eating, you know, in the first world countries. We are not eating in order to, like, become, I like to satisfy our hunger, but in order to socialize. So it's more circumstance, social circumstance than substance. And I'm thinking that in today's, like, technoculture, maybe food is shifting from substance to information, because we are thinking more and more about food as an information. We are just obsessed about the nutritional data, about the way, you know, how much we eat, what do we eat, what nutritious values are there, whatever. So it's becoming more and more like intangible information than the tangible substance. And that's how we came to the idea to establish data cuisine. We just started to cook with data, because that's how the life is now, how the food society is now. Food is shifting, you know, to more virtual environments. So I will introduce you a few projects that we actually did in terms of data cuisine. The first is called Open Source Zen. Basically, this kind of cooking is based on matching the colors with your mood and cooking from your mood. So basically, you can't, with an open source Zen, you can't cook like in the normal traditional way. That means that you can't just, you know, include onion, red peppers, spinach, whatever. You can just drag and drop the colorful dots, which are representing each of the ingredients within our open source recipe, and cook like that. So the joke is that you actually don't know what are you going to produce, because you can just drag and drop the colors, which are assigned to each ingredient based on their actual color, and then you create your recipe. So, for example, when I came to Brisbane on Wednesday, I was sitting on the pavement and thinking, yeah, so how do I feel right now? And it felt really good. I mean, I really liked the city at the first sight, so I just created this sauce, which was describing my mood at the time. My mood was something between green, purple, red, so I just stick it all in and created this sauce, and wow, I had a Brisbane morning sauce. And then I sent it to a friend of mine in Prague, because, you know, I just felt so overwhelmed with all those feelings. I just wanted to share with her, how do I feel? But yeah, it would be too much information, so I just sent her the sauce. And now she knows how actually I'm feeling. The other part of this project, which I really like, is basically that you are like losing the control of the recipe creation. And for example, in my case, I'm somehow, you know, there are too many new recipes, too many ways how to eat. We are just, you know, those of you who were yesterday at the dinner, I mean, it's becoming more and more difficult to satisfy our appetite. I mean, we are creating really strange dishes in order to be curious about it, to you know, to amuse our taste buds. So I was thinking, yeah, we can actually hack the whole project, a whole concept of food creation, and just let the artificial code to decide for us. So yeah, the motto can be like, let the random code to be your chef, because, you know, how can you surprise yourself? It's hard. So if your brain or your rational way to approach to cooking can't surprise you, but there are code to do the job for you. So this is open source then. Other step in our food hacking or the data quizzing was sonification, obviously, because we were already working with colors. So then we were thinking, yeah, we can also cook from sounds, right? It should be easy. And it was. So how the sonification works, it's actually very simple. So colors are represented as hexa numbers, like six digital numbers. So sound frequencies are actually also numbers. So you can transfer the sound frequencies, translate the sound frequencies into the colors very easily. And if you are in the open source recipe book, you can obviously transfer the colors into the ingredients. So now we had a way how to cook from sounds. And we're thinking what kind of sounds can we actually use. So carrot, remember carrot was at the beginning of our project. So we just decided to let the carrot speak. And we started to measure the carrot's bioelectric resistance and transfer the values of the bioelectric resistance into the sounds, and then translate the sound into the colors, and the colors into the ingredients. And then we started with those performances, which we call hot carrot riot. And we were basically, on the stage cooking the sauce while playing the biotechno carrot music. So this project is kind of interesting for me from the post-humanist point of view, that basically we are really diminishing, the human element in the process of cooking. Like we are totally, erasing the human ratio from the cooking process, because the carrot is actually controlling everything. I mean, the carrot is just the master chef in this case. So yeah, this is how it works. And then finally we are shifting to the third kind of projects, which we do in terms of data cuisine. We call it story sauce. So we can now cook from colors, we can cook from moods, we can cook from sounds. And we're thinking, yeah, so it should be very easy to cook from some text as well. I mean, normally we are cooking according to the text, but can we cook from the text? Yeah, why not? Because you can easily represent the text into numerical form as well. And again, we can translate all numerical forms into the ingredients within our open source. So we started the story sauce project. We have already done some story sauce recipes yesterday on the workshop. So for example, this is a jet lag sauce that one of the groups yesterday created on the workshop. So they just wrote down the story, and then we feed this story into our algorithm, and the algorithm basically performs textual analysis, the network textual analysis. And then 6 words are generated based, this is typical text mining, you probably know that, how it works. So you just take the 6 words that are generated by the algorithm from the text, you put them into the graph is mapped onto the color spectrum wheel, and then 6 different colors pops out, and those colors are translated into the ingredients, and we have a sauce. So by this means we can actually cook sauces out of any kind of text. So this was the text from yesterday, and this is, for example, a sauce created out of this book, Eat, Cook, Grow, from the preface of the book. We already tried to cook it yesterday, and it was actually very interesting because one of the authors of the text was almost throwing up after tasting the sauce. So I don't know what can be infer from it, but yeah, it's interesting. But I like the sauce. I mean, I never like the book, so that's good. I mean, yeah. So yeah, this is actually the recipe: pumpkin seeds, celery, red lentils, bread, chives, and cinnamon. So that's the way how to cook this book, which made just throwing up almost. Yeah. So yeah, that was the story sauce, and then we finally are approaching the main part of this presentation, which is the street sauce. So street sauce is basically it's based on this textual analysis, on this story sauce approach to cooking. And well, what we did, was we are thinking that yeah, we are playing with food, it's a lot of fun, and I don't know, the food hacking is really like, you know, good way to spend your free time, but maybe we can also do some contribution, you know, maybe do something that makes sense also to other people, not just to us. So to make it short, we just asked the organization which is called Homelike, which works with homeless women in Prague, if they want to do something with us. And together we established like a street food bistro, small street food stall, where the homeless women are allowed to sell some simple vegan dishes. And of course, we came with the idea that this simple vegan dish could be our hot girl and open source, right? Yeah, so we started this, and it actually worked. And then we decided, yeah, but we can make it like more funny, right? Or do something else. So we put on our our story source feature, and we basically spent some time with each of the books, and we were listening to their life stories. How did it happen that they ended up on the street, you know, without the roof over their head? And then we created a source out of each story. So basically now each of the female books has her own source based on her own story, and she's like offering the people on the streets to taste this story. So basically you can taste what kind of flavor does the life on the street have. It's very subjective. I mean, maybe you can say that it's bitter when someone will say it's sweet. I mean, yesterday we saw Jess really disgusted from one sauce, and I really liked it. So the perception of taste is very subjective. But it's on you to decide if you see our street food bistro. So this is, for example, of course I don't want you to eat to read it right now, but it's the story of Eva, one of the women that she shared with us. So we just took it. Few of the words were like generated based on the algorithm from the text, and then Eva got her own sauce, which was based on pumpkin seeds, kiwi, lime juice, red lentils, and horseradish. And yeah, it's like for 3 months that Eva is actually selling the sauce on the street, and I think it's actually quite new experience for her, because she can actually now approach the people from completely new perspective. You know, normally she was in the position of a beggar. I mean, she was asking the people, for example, for money on the street, and now she can offer her story in a very like edible and interesting way. And people, they get a chance to speak with her, you know, about something. I mean, you maybe have sometimes experienced that you see some homeless person on the street and you would be interested in his or her story, but you just don't know how to approach this person. What could you ask? It's so stupid to ask them, oh, are you unhappy? You are on the street. Oh, poor you. It's strange. But if you order the open source, then you have a like reason to speak with the woman, and she has a reason, you know, to give you the answers. And maybe you don't need to say anything. You can just eat it, and yeah, you will see how the life is maybe. So this is other sauce made out of Jana's story. It's Jane. Yeah, again, I think that we don't need to like read it, but it was just to show you another example. So this is how the street food bistro look like. We have already done like six events where we offered the open sources or the street sources, and the project is still ongoing. So far we have seen that it really makes something, you know, because there was some growing interest in the homeless issues in Prague. But for example, since we have like launched the Street Source project, we got like much more visits at our website. So that could be like one sign that it somehow works. Maybe it's not just, you know, it's not. I don't have the numbers, like the statistical numbers, but I think that it can attract the attention of the public to the issue of female homelessness. Also because, you know, that's what food does. I mean, food is something that is very, like, very familiar to everyone. I mean, each of us has already tried, right? We know how to eat. So it's something that attracts people because we like to eat. So from the perspective of food designer, I would say that working with food, it really makes sense. I mean, it's big fun, yeah, that's what it is. But you can also do something through designing with food. I mean, you can also achieve something bigger than you are. So what I hope that we will achieve in future is like, we will give those female cooks a voice, basically. And yeah, we have already achieved something because also the media started to be more interested in the case of female homelessness. So that's it, and I hope that we will we'll continue in this journey. And yeah, so from my perspective, what is food design, which was actually the question that I posed on the Twitter under the hashtag FoodCHI, which is our project I'm going to present you in a few minutes, I think. Well, my answer would be like, if you're a food designer, you should design with food and make people involved. That's it. Just use food, you know, to create some public engagement because it's so simple. I mean, it's easy to engage publics in any kind of issues through food because we all understand food and we are all interested in food. So, yeah, I would say that's my final message. And that's it. So if you are interested in any of those projects I have mentioned, go to this website, or if you want to try all those algorithms I have mentioned, just we can do it like after this session. You can try it on my computer or your computer. I mean the open source then, or the story sources or whatever. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, if you have any questions now, of course, feel free to ask.
I'm wondering at what point do you start and stop the human inputs in terms of the list of ingredients that can go into your sauce and the spectrum of colours that you can choose from, or the algorithm can choose from? You must manipulate that as you go?
Oh yeah, you mean like our input?
Yeah, so the actual human.
Yeah, well, it's of course. Well, when I said that we are kind of erasing the human presence from the act of cooking, we are still the designers of the original interface. So it's no apocalyptic transhuman project that we are, proposing that the world will be just, mastered by technologies. That's not like that. The interface is of course made by us, and we have written the code. So yeah, it's still based on it. But if you are creating the single recipes, you are no longer involved. I mean, you made that like running, but if you, for example, create the sauce out of the texts, you are the author of the text, right? That's right. But you just can't control the way, the ingredients which will be included. So that's basically the point. But you are still the main, mover of the whole process. That's right.
And you need to source use ingredients that you can source.
Well, you can actually source a lot of things. You will be surprised. I would say that everything is sourceable.
I guess the sesame is the mother of invention, like the daisies.
Yeah. I mean, the blender is your friend. The blender is your biggest friend. Yeah.
Have you considered variations of sauce? So rather than sauce, for instance, you could do smoothies or ice cream.
Yes, we have considered that. We have tried to do some juices because it's very same. But how can you consume the juice with the hot carrot? Not very well. It doesn't work, So yeah, but that's actually a good question, because that's what I'm very often forgetting, that we started, with the hot carrot, not with the sauce. So we should still keep in mind that we started vegetarian bistro based on veggie hot dog, right? So the sauces were just add-on. So that's it. Yes?
So you describe a kind of shift in the project, right? So initially it's this kind of, you call it critical design, sort of interventionist, kind of spectacular sort of move that has these like wonderfully kind of almost anti-culinary instincts. Like it's not just you don't care how it tastes, you're like adamantly not engaging with it, which is sort of great. But then the project makes this shift, right? And it becomes more of an FCI for D kind of project where suddenly you're working with homeless women and you've got these other kind of goals and creating a situation where now they're actually selling this stuff in some way and there's a potential there. When that shift occurs, I'm curious like how some other elements of the project then change. Like for example, if you're setting up a situation where now, these women are meant to be engaging with the public, and as you say, maybe even selling it, it becomes almost a kind of commercial offering for them too. Do some of those ideas of taste and the culinary aspect, does that have to come back? Like, does that shift the project in other ways than simply, what we described here?
Yeah, I would say that we are starting to omit all the usual context of cooking, the matter of taste and things like that. And you are right, it actually shifted more into the area which I call with the buzzword food HCI for me, like human-computer interaction for development, which is part of my PhD thesis. So I need to create all those stupid buzzwords to explain myself. But yeah, we started with the simple carrot idea, which was really just about let's make some alternative, let's make some new street food in Prague. And then, but I would say it was shifting somehow naturally, because we spent 1 year just selling the carrots, mixing the sauces, being completely dirty with the sauce stains overall. And then it began to be too stereotypical for us, so we just wanted to make some shift, we are new media students, so we had some knowledge about technology, so why not to connect the technology with the food? So that's how all the hacks started, with the Zen and with the sonification. And then, digging deeper and deeper, you see that you're having fun with the food, but somehow you think that you should also do something bigger, bigger than you. So we are thinking that maybe somehow it will come and we will be able to use it in some really useful way, this concept. And then it comes with the homeless cuisine. I mean, it wasn't our plan. We didn't plan, we never plan, but it was not our purpose, to do something socially engaged, to be contributive or something like that. But the idea just came and we said, yeah, why not? So let's do that. Let's be helpful. So that's
which I think is fantastic, and I like the way you described it as this evolution. What I'm curious about though is if you take that shift seriously, right, and if you think seriously about this, where you're at now with the project, which is, it's in a different place, right? It's got this kind of social consciousness to it. What does that mean for the project? What else? Do other things have to shift, or do you feel like it's kind of done? Is there other things that would have to change for it to really kind of make the most of that potential that you identified?
That's an interesting question. Well, we have, for example, a lot of those food charities, right? Like to donate food or something. So I'm thinking now about the Hot Carrot project, really efficient food charity, which is happening here and now. So you are doing the charity not just with donating the food, you are doing it through food. For me, the biggest shift is to use the food as a designer's tool, the food as really the agent of the change. Not just, with feeding the people, using the food as some object, but using the food really the centerpiece of the whole interaction. Which is why I mentioned that food is kind of the biggest common denominator and the familiar thing to all of us. So I think it's really we have a great tools in our hands. We people who understand food and are creative enough to work with food. We have really powerful weapon. I mean, we can change things, right? So yeah, I don't know if I've answered the question right now. Maybe I just let myself go and start answering something else. Sorry. Yeah.
There is a big element of surprise in your project, and in my opinion, that is what it makes it so interesting. But the question is that that surprise which you don't know what it tastes like at the end, it makes your project unique? Or is it a story that you're telling with your sauce? Because again, I'm thinking if you're just telling the story, that curiosity that, oh, what is this story taste, it doesn't necessarily mean to taste good or bad. It's just like it answered that grave that I want to taste this story or this feeling or this mood. But I want to know, as a designer of the project, what do you think?
You mean if I'm like focusing more on the fact that the stories are inscribed in the sauce?
Yeah,
or
it's more important to know what is the story that you're trying to tell the taste, or is the surprising taste that you're making all of this random, if it's random ingredient?
Yeah. Well, I would say that with the street sauce project, the randomness is not so important. I mean, randomness is not in the center of all this activity, right? Here, the story of the woman per se is like in the middle of the whole process. While in the food zonification, the food zonification or the open source zonification we did, the element of randomness was like the biggest fun.
But it's still reflecting a mood or sort of a story.
Yeah, it's reflecting the story, that's right. It's reflecting the story, but the point is, of course, that the textual analysis is arbitrary. I mean, of course, it's not like semantic analysis, so you can't catch the mood of the text just via the computer analysis, right? But it's kind of just a representation, maybe. And for me, you can think about it. I mean, yeah, we already talked about it yesterday. I mean, we are not some food visualization people who are working with some, you know, big data or doing some accurate things. So for me, the interesting point is that I can taste some sauce and imagine that there is some life inscribed in the sauce and decide if it is really disgusting or if it is good, and then, you know, compare, if you then meet the person and you know who is it, compare the taste again, have another bite, and like compare, does it taste the same, or if I already know the person, is it different or not? But of course, the main point is we have basically just created a good advertising or PR strategy, you know how to shift the attendance of public to some social issue. I mean, maybe any kind of like good PR person would do that better than we did, but it just happened. So, yeah.
You should sell the idea to Jellybean. Sell the idea to Jellybean. And then there's a commercial system in their stores where you combine them all.
Okay, and make some money.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask, like, I suppose the thing is, would there be a survey done on the people that actually make the sauce? Like, it looked like the ladies that made the sauce were quite happy. So, you know, like reflecting that their health and their health, and maybe looking at that and what, you know, the making of a source to how you're feeling or your story actually create a better you in regards to your health situation. Maybe working in hospitals, because sometimes hospital food doesn't taste
That's right.
You know, so if you go to the hospital and people that are in hospital maybe make a hot sauce from the hospital, maybe it might change their health or something like that. Because I know that traditionally, when you're talking about taste, people actually went out and collected the best tasting fruit before they actually went out and started to grow it. And they, whether it's a seed or a nut, they recultivated that. And if it tasted good with something else, like things like tangerine and that, and then they grafted it onto another to make tangerine. So from mandarin and everything else, but it's sort of like what you're doing. And I suppose it could be a help if there's a survey or if you do that and see how maybe the source interacts with people's health.
In this term, yeah. Well, basically, I would say it somehow actually contributes to the health of the books, for example, because first thing is that since they started with cooking their own sauces, they are much more self-confident. You can see it on the stall because they are not just, you know, offering, I don't know, this honey. It's just some product that have been produced for them, but that's based on their life. So they are, you see that they are really like more performing because they feel that they are at the right spot. They are just more self-confident. So this is the first thing, and the second thing, actually, the street food kitchen is donation-based. So they are actually raising money with this. So with the sauces, we have kind of, you know, increased the level of customers. So the women are actually making some money or more money than before. So that could be contributive or not. It depends what they buy for the money. That's right. But the idea with the hospital is actually really great. That's actually good. I mean, if you do all this show in hospital and you know, bring this story with you or sit with the patients and, you know, talk to them and then tell them, yeah, I've just created a sauce out of your story and I'm going to cook it for you. Would you like to taste it? It's actually, you know, it's good. I like the idea.
So the plan was that was going to show or cook up the sauce today based on the tweets.
I haven't introduced the tweet yet.
Oh, but are you actually going to do it?
I think that everyone actually knows. What is it about? Yeah, just let me put it on. But yeah, you have some question, right?
Yeah, I can talk to you.
Yeah, we can talk later, that's right. That's where we're running out of time. Yeah, so that was the other part of which was promoted in the program, this taste of FoodCHI sauce. So it's basically, again, one of the hot features. This time, it's called Eat Your Tweet originally, this idea. And we are cooking based on the textual analysis, we are cooking from tweets. So we have already done that many times in different conferences, that you basically sample all those tweets which are produced under particular hashtag, and you cook the sauce out of it, and then you basically let the people, you know, to eat back their words. So what they have tweeted, they will now eat. So they can swallow the smart things they are, you know, sharing via Twitter back. So I asked us if we can actually like ask you this question: what do you get if you mix food plus tech plus design? Because it's actually very helpful for my research that I'm doing now as part of my PhD. So I hope that I actually got some good answers from you. I haven't checked it in the last 2 hours. But yeah, so that's what we were doing last 2 days. We are sampling the tweets produced under this hashtag, and the algorithm was producing the final sauce. That's why I did it. I already mentioned the madness of the, you know, buzzwords that are included in the food design field. So I'm really lost in this maze of buzzwords. So that's why I asked you, because yeah, I take you as a food design expert. So that's why I wanted to have your answers. So finally, this is the sauce. So this is how our tweets taste like. It's a pumpkin seed, honey, carrot, vegetable broth, buckwheat, sesame seeds, Dijon mustard, and pumpkin. And I actually wanted to cook it, but I think that everyone is so stuffed that I'm just not going to cook it. And you can cook it, yeah, you can cook it at home. You can go to the open source website. The recipe is already there, so you can just see it. And yeah, this is just to describe you the Eat Your Tweet process, which I've already done. This is, for example, hungry sauce that I created like 2 days ago, because I thought it's just funny, you know, to cook from the hunger. So I sampled all those tweets produced under the hashtag hunger. Those were, you know, other people mentioning, oh, I'm so hungry, that's so bad. And then I cooked the sauce and ate it by myself. And I felt that I am really a bad person. So this was the hungry sauce. And that's it, yeah, and again, this is the website which basically you can, hotcarrot.cz and the open source and all the other features are actually included there. And yeah, just the last thing, maybe to show you how the process look like, with the tweets, I mean. Oh yeah, so So this is how it looks like when the tweets are actually sampled. But I think no one is now. You can tweet something right now and we'll see it. We can test it if it works. So yeah, basically here you can't see it, but there is the color spectrum wheel under the graph. So the points are generated. You can see that the colors are actually organized, into the same shades, which means that they are corresponding with the color wheel which is underneath. So that's it. And the textual analysis is still running in a feedback loop, basically. So that's it. Yeah. So do we have any interesting answers? Yeah, I will read it at home. I don't want to steal your time. Okay, so that's it. So I'm not going to do, normally if you want to produce the source, you just click this, but I've already done it. So I don't want to duplicate it. So yeah, this is our source from our symposium. If you don't have anything better to do, you can just play with it. I'm doing it very often while writing my PhD, especially during the night. Yeah, that's it, sorry. I need to